Hey guys, today we're going to replace one of the lower control arm on the Audi 2015. I've done it last weekend. I've done the other side. This is the spare part. Ordered that on Amazon. It was pretty cheap actually. I bought the kit. I talked about it in another video. So we'll do that one. It's not super complicated, but it's easy and hard at the same time. The main thing is a ball joint, very stuck. Use a ball joint separator, and that's a trick for it. A fork will not make it, at least on mine. I was not able to get it out. So let's get started and show you how we do that. Okay, hopefully it will be an easy one. Let's go. Okay, let's get moving. Car is on park. Parking brake is on. I'm going to remove the wheel. Okay, here's a baby right here. Nut and bolt on that side. See the other one here. Use an open wrench right here. Breaker bar, they're 18 millimeters. Then on that side here, you have a 21 millimeter underneath. This was the hardest one last time. And the ball joints to pop that out. So you need to remove, and it's hard enough. Normally you have enough clearance even with the heat shield on the back to remove the bolt. So we'll see that. If not, you can remove that, but I like to avoid it. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, let's go. Okay, a couple more things. I think in the last video, but if you don't look at it, the kit with all the control arms and the linkage for the sway bar, both bottom control arms. You see 1 and 2. Both upper for both sides. I got that for less than 250 bucks online, Amazon. I loaned from AutoZone a ball joint separator, so you can use a mallet, a fork. It worked for the upper one, but for the lower one, it will not work. Ball joint separator for that one has been the key. You know, you put that around the ball joint, down on the bottom. Just tighten that and it will spread that, and up to a certain point that it will pop out. $37.10, which you get refunded once you return that to AutoZone. So you don't even have to buy one because that's not something you're using every day. Bottom of that control arm right here. I said it was a 21. That one, 21, or you can use also a free. I think a 1316. I'm checking. Yeah, 1316. So that's what I'm gonna do. Untie that one and get the 18 millimeter one on the back and go from there. There we go. That one is untied. I will leave it in place for now. Do the back ones. Okay, when you're underneath, you don't have that much clearance. So there is a little, that piece right here. And again, we're on the passenger side. It's different than the driver's side. Which is a 3/8. I don't know in mil, but I use a 3/8 and screw that. I got a cap to remove at the back, and I'm going to remove that just to have it's pretty easy, so just to have a little bit more access to that nut, so I can unscrew that. I already untied it, so I can get it all the way out, and then also pry on the screw to try to get it sliding out a little bit more. I'm afraid to what I see that I will need to remove the shields on the bottom of the car and a heat shield to get more clearance for that screw. It won't cut it. Some people cut a hole in that. I don't like the idea. Okay, let's move on. So that one compared to the other side is actually going out a lot easier, which is good news. I've been using a fork, putting it that way. I pried it, but once it's too far, I put a fork against the end of the bolt and just hammer on the side, and it's been sliding out pretty easily. On the other side, where I removed the nuts, I put a, gosh, whatever the name is, but I put an object inside and I was hammering on the other side to push it as well. It was working pretty easy. However, I'm figuring out that the clearance with the heat shield, it will definitely not be enough. So it's either I remove the plate on the bottom and the heat shield, or I make a hole in the heat shield. So more to follow in a few minutes. Okay, so you remove the shields on the bottom, the plates. Here using a 10 mil, removing the heat shield. So you have one here, you have another one on top right here. I think you have one in the corner, so work on that, removing the heat shield, so then I can remove that screw completely, and then the rest should be pretty cut and dry. Okay, so 2 10 mils, and then the third one is actually on top on the inside, right here. And this is a 13 mil, so I'm gonna access that with a ratchet here. That should be far enough to access. No, actually no. I have to articulate that to get that out, and to get the screw that is just right here from the control arm. Okay, so now without the heat shield, we have a much better access. So I'm gonna pop it out. Actually, it's pretty easy, so I'm gonna leave it in place so the control arm stays in place. And now I'm gonna remove the nut, the 13/16 or 21 millimeter on the bottom, like I showed earlier. I'm gonna use a ball joint separator, pop it out, and then put a new part, and we're good to go. A bit painful, but it works out and saves some money. Here we go. And no ball joint separator. Okay, I installed the ball joint separator. That was the best angle I could find to be able to shove that underneath the ball joint and still have pressure on the other side of it. Using a ratchet. This is a 24, I think. This is a 24. The tools might be different, but it doesn't really matter. Now I'm going to tighten it, and hopefully this will pop out. I may need to use a jack and jack it up under and put it under normal pressure to get a better alignment. And if it's not working, I may actually need to remove the bolt on the other side, on that side right here, just to keep it loose on the other side. That's what I did last time when I did the other one. Okay, I got a little baby out. Just to give you an idea, it was about a couple of hours altogether. It was quite painful. Once I got the ball joint separator pretty tight on that, I tightened it as much as I can. I jacked the shock assembly or the wheel assembly up to try to align it, and then I hammered from the bottom. I hammered the bottom of the ball joint separator, and then it just popped out. So definitely remove the screw completely at the back so it's loose. Jack up the assembly. Tighten your ball joint separator. If it's as tight as mine was, it's like almost can't get it away. It's like so tight. And I use also some some WD-40 on that. Okay, so no need to put the other one. On the other side, it was quite tricky, but I started with the back. I'm gonna do that. I started with the back, just put a screw in, and then I had to remove the jack, I had to line it, and I had to basically put some elbow grease and pull on the entire assembly to line up the stud of the ball joint with the hole and put the nut on the bottom. And then I tensioned it to put that all the way in, and then the rest is just reassembling. The rest is easy. Okay, let's move on. Wow, surprisingly it paid off. So that one actually, that hand did slide pretty easily in between the two brackets compared to the other side, but you still have to be able to put that bolt. When it's very easy, line it properly, keep it free on the other side, slide the bolt all the way in. I did not put a nut. Then on the other side, the ball joint, so the thread, I had to tip it a little bit sideways to be as close from the hole as possible. And then on that side, with one arm, I had to pull toward the back side of the car, the entire assembly, because for whatever reason, it has a tendency to shift forward once the rear bottom control arm is removed. So you pull it back, and with your other hand, you press on top of it. And you press as hard as possible so it goes as deep as possible. And once you got it, you keep your pressure, the pressure on that control arm. And with the other hand, you take the nut and you just partially screw the nut on it. You can see that here, partially screwed it. Now I'm going to tighten it to pull that further down to make sure it's properly anchored in it.